Welcome everyone. We're at the Nauset Food and Research Garden, and we're going into our 10th season of growing produce for the local food pantries and the Nauset Culinary School food program that they have, the cooking classes. We have 100 feet by 180 feet here, growing lots and lots of produce: potatoes, beans, greens, garlic, all kinds of good things. So let's go take a walk through the garden and see what we have. We have a tall amaranth, I guess. Here we have kale, we have some beans, we have leeks. The teepees have tomatoes on them. There's tomatoes along the far fence. We have beautiful peppers here. I'll actually hold one of these out. I think these are a hot jalapeno pepper, but I'm not sure. We also have a few bugs here and there, Japanese beetles. Some cabbages and kales, basil, a few carrots left. I think they've harvested a lot of carrots. I'm not sure what that next plant is. And then we have vining plants. We've got some pumpkins. Mixed in with the flowers in the back, we planted a wildflower mix down the walkway here. So the black-eyed Susans are part of that mix, and they're the most hardy things when you get those wildflower mixes. But there's corn and potatoes in the back. I will have to peek over the flowers here to see. So these are more potatoes too. So the tops of the potatoes have died back, and that's one of the ways that you know it's time to harvest the potatoes. So those will go to the culinary program and the food pantries. Going this way around the garden. So we planted a circle garden in the middle. And so everything radiates out from the center of the garden. We've got some more tall amaranth that goes around the outside edge. And then flowers mixed in with the produce. I think these are probably pumpkins with bees that are looking for some open flowers. Beets. These are beautiful. These are bull's blood beets, which are really more expensive than regular beets. They're a richer, darker red. Queen Anne's lace, which grows wild everywhere. Some chard. Lots of lettuce. So kale, mixed lettuces. The amaranth border around the back edge of the garden.
So here we've got a lot of different lettuces and greens. We have Easter egg radish here, which we're leaving to go to seed. So we can get some radish seed out of this patch. But we've got different kinds of mesclun, mixed lettuces, and we're just kind of cutting the tops off so they'll regrow, and we'll get another harvest in another week or two. This whole area is part of the circle, and it's irrigated from the center, from that center irrigator, so it's kind of a crop circle, essentially. These were all in mixed lettuce packets, seed packets, and don't even know everything that's here. I'm cutting this a little too low, actually. What I want to leave is a little more on top so that it can regrow. We mix it together in the box, and we have some Asian greens in here too, and some probably some arugula we'll encounter over there, and there's some red Russian kale. We can throw some of these in the salad mix. We're saving seed from this, and it's one of the seeds we'll offer, our seed packets. I have probably about 4 pounds of seed we saved from last year's crop.
Rand, you want to talk about this?
Pardon? Oh, yeah, this is a watermelon radish. We might be able to save the seed from this too. We have also Easter egg radishes here. I think we'll probably end up saving seed from this and not from this, because they might cross in the garden. So we'll have to harvest one and leave one. Have to make those kind of choices when there are crops that can cross with each other. That's the reason we're growing only one kind of corn in the garden. The garden is laid out with some sections that are families of plants. So this section is Canopadaceae, which includes spinach, it includes beets and chard, which are closely related to each other. At the end I was going to put quinoa, which is in the family, but it didn't germinate, so we don't have quinoa there. But this is a Canopadaceae family. And then next to it there's the Brassica family, which includes the cabbages, kale, collards, Brussels sprouts. Those are the brassicas there. And I interplanted some dill, which is considered to be helpful. The reason dill is helpful among the brassicas is that when it flowers, it attracts beneficial wasps, which will predate the pests that arrive on the cabbages. So the cabbages get good cabbage moth, the white moth, and they're fluttering around now. And they leave eggs and caterpillars hatch on the brassicas. But the beneficial wasps will predate those insects.
Here we have ripe tomatoes. I think. Good morning, Rand.
Oh, good morning.
I think we have about 10 varieties of tomatoes. So we have the larger beefsteak tomatoes, the big ones on the end here. We have cherry tomatoes. We have yellow pear tomatoes. They're shaped like pears. These are plum tomatoes, used for making sauces. They typically have less seeds in the middle and more meat. And Rand is holding a bunch of big beefsteak.
Yeah, these are big beefsteak heirloom tomatoes, all different colors. This one is called a pineapple tomato, and it comes from Germany. This is an evergreen tomato, and this is a Paul Robeson tomato. The seed came from a farmer in Truro.
And so the tomatoes are starting to split too. We've been drip watering, which helps to keep the soil at constant moisture. But with the burst of rain that we just had, a lot of things, they get too much water. So things will be starting to kind of crack open a little bit.
Yes, we need to get the seeds out of these fairly soon. We're trying to take seeds from the best, the biggest tomatoes and the healthiest plants. And some of the plants have shown resistance to viruses. This pineapple tomato came off of a plant that has no virus on it. The tomatoes are huge. This is not the biggest one on that.
But it's a beautiful tomato. So we're doing a seed saving program. Last year we saved seeds and sold them at the Turnip Festival. So this year, I don't know, no Turnip Festival. Everything's still kind of up in the air, but we'll see. We'll find an outlet for the seeds somewhere.
Yeah, this is called a pineapple tomato, and I've grown this for about 30 years since I was an apprentice in a farm called Angelic Organics outside Chicago. And Angelic Organics grew about 40 different varieties for gourmet restaurants like Charlie Trotter's in Chicago. So I took my favorite varieties of those 40, and when I moved to Italy, I grew them for years and years. And then I did a seed saving project in Italy in Montessori school in Perugia. So we grew these varieties and was sold packets of seeds to support that project. So we've just kept this variety going for many, many years, and it's just extraordinary. I mean, this is a huge kind of beefsteak size, but it doesn't have it has a very regular shape like a Cinderella pumpkin. It's ribbed, and it's bright orange yellow. If you slice through it, you'll find like a sunburst pattern. Delicious too. It's delicious flavored. Here, so we have a rhubarb plant, but we have an Egyptian walking onion that's popping up next to it. And everything here is sort of planted in an intermixed way. The Egyptian walking onion is very unusual because it doesn't have a flower. It's not flowering, and it's not making seed on the top. It actually makes more bulbs, a bunch of bulbs, and when they get top heavy, it falls over, and they touch the ground and they make roots. So
That's how it walks.
spreads.
So those little bulblets fall off of the ground, and then they grow new plant, which produces bulbs, and then that falls over, so it kind of works its way across the garden. This one has very large bulbs on it. I don't know whether I would assume the bigger bulbs make bigger onions.
We've got strawberries. We've got
This is asparagus.
tomatillo, asparagus. There are different kinds of basil, and the Egyptian walking onion. We've got purple cabbages, gomphrena flowers. Lettuce is going to seed here. It's a variety called Marvel of the Four Seasons, and I want to have this in our seed collection. And the rhubarb, and then at the very end, there's a perennial vegetable called water celery. It spreads like a ground cover, but it's a good substitute for celery. And we want to experiment with perennial vegetables because we don't have to replant them every year. It'll just come back on its own. One variety here, and there's another variety at the edge of the garden, a purple variety. This is called Clemson Spineless, and it's one of the seeds we saved last year, and we'll save it again this year. And we have a leek variety. I can't remember the name, but I have it on a seed packet. We have several of these leeks that have gone to flower, so we'll have leek seed. And this is something we started at the middle school greenhouse. From seed, it's called yellow banana pepper. It's a sweet pepper.
Those are beautiful.
Yeah, and they came very, very well. So we'll save seed from that too. It's hard to keep the corn earworm out, and a lot of people use chemical treatments, but we don't want to. So we just crushed the corn worm by hand, and then we opened it up and then closed it again with string.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope we get a few good, clean cobs of corn to show how beautiful this variety is.
They are beautiful big corn. This one you can kind of peek in and see the beautiful kernels in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Very
red
nice.
corn. It's called King Philip, and it was given to us a few years ago by Mashpee Wampanoag educator Kitty Hendrick. So this is a squash plant, and squashes belong to different categories. This is Cucurbita pepo, is the name, and pepo includes summer squashes like zucchinis and stuff. But this is a volunteer plant. It just popped up here, and we're not even irrigating here. So it's obviously resistant to the drought, and it's producing these giant, they really are becoming solid, so they may actually be more of a winter squash. But what's really interesting to me is it's popping up here next to the Three Sisters Garden, a volunteer plant, which resembles the varieties that Native Americans grew here in New England. So it's kind of a mystery, but anytime a volunteer shows up, I'm really interested because, what is it? Is it a mix of different varieties? Is it a pure variety? We'll save the seed. We'll eat it. We'll save the seed and see what it's like, and maybe we can make it a permanent variety. But it's a volunteer here. I don't know how it got here. The garden is also a great place for artists, and one of our volunteers, Margot Stage, is an Eastham resident artist. She made this wonderful sign for us, and I'm going to show you the scarecrow she made for us. The scarecrow is named Doreen, and she has a longer name I can't remember. But she was made of found objects, and she's got sort of bamboo support and chicken wire and ribbons, and she's got a face made of seashells, and she's just perfect for Cape Cod. But she's very effectively protecting the corn and the Three Sisters Garden, because Margot did some scientific study and found that these CDs and their shininess drives away the crows. And she put some noisemakers on here too. So I haven't seen any crows this year.
So I'm Gretel Norgeot, and I want to thank you for joining us on our little tour of the garden, and wishing everybody happy success in their own gardens.
Yes, and I'm Rand Burkert. With Gretel, we are the co-advisors for the garden club, and we want to welcome any students who are interested in working out here. The garden hasn't had a lot of student involvement this summer, but with the restart of school, we hope that you'll have opportunities to come here and experiment here and bring your own experiments and ideas.
We would also like to thank the many volunteers that we've had in the garden and help with harvesting for the food pantries and all the gardening, planting, weeding, extra activities that go on around here. So thank you to everyone. It's been an awesome season.